So let's talk about the Kurds for a second. The Turks say the PYD are terrorists. Lindsey Graham says they're heroes that are fighting terrorism. Who's closer to the truth?
For me, it doesn't actually matter that much. I mean, I have no interest in labeling the PYD a terrorist group because as far as American interests are concerned, we're fine with the PYD. They've helped us, we've helped them. On the other hand, if I was the Turkish government, of course they're going to see it through that prism, right? Because they see the PYD and the guys they've been fighting for 40 years in Turkey, which is kind of Kurdish separatist movement, the PKK,
Inside Turkey, yeah.
as the same thing. And at the leadership level, they are the same, at the very kind of strategic level, command. So I wouldn't label them that insofar as American interests are concerned, but I see no way to make Turkey change their mind about it, if that makes sense.
So I say this in part because when Obama was considering at the beginning of the Syrian war what American policy was going to be, he was looking for so-called moderates in Syria to work with, and he had a hard time, right?
Yes, he did.
And so here we are, a very small American contingent on the ground working with these guys. How much does it matter in the region, on the ground, that the Americans have decided to cut bait and leave these guys high and dry?
It matters a lot, I think.
Because?
Because it's basically you're screaming out to the world that you can't trust the United States. That their partnership is not worth anything, that you can make sacrifices and they will pull out and leave you high and dry. From that perspective, of course, I cannot defend what they've done to the Kurds. That's obscene, that they played their allies that way. Things could have been handled more responsibly from the start, but they weren't. And we kind of plowed into this position. And one of the things you mentioned was that this isn't the first time President Trump wanted to get out of Syria. One of the problems is that he said really literally that he wanted to get out last December, right? And then we had these 10 months to try to decide what are we going to do about the fact that that's what the president essentially wants to do. What if we run into an obstacle in our policy? How are we going to sell the president on it? I think our national security bureaucracy spent the last few months just trying to kind of Trojan horse a more ambitious Syria policy and hoping the president kind of
would notice.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's a crude way of putting it, but wouldn't notice, would be distracted, would think it was something it wasn't. That's, I think, part of the error. And I think that's actually also a betrayal of the Kurdish allies.